Yo guys, what's up? How do you like the new setup? It's not exactly done yet, so yeah. Anyway, today we're talking about how to add a DSLR like blur to the pictures that you click from your phone. With that being said, what's up guys? I'm Anubhav here. Welcome to a brand new video. If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and without any further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, so you guys might have already heard about the normal things that everyone should do while clicking a picture from your phone, regardless of whether you want a blurred background or not. That is using a manual camera, or let's say moving closer to the subject and shooting at manual focus and all of those other things. But the most important point that comes down whenever you want to click a picture where there is a distinction between the background and the subject is adding depth to the image. Now, what do I mean by adding depth to the image? The main thing that I'm talking about when I say add depth is there should be something that separates your background and the subject that you want to be in focus. Here's the deal. If your background is green and the subject is green and they are of the same hue and there's nothing in between your subject and the background, nothing will be able to make it stand out. So since you're trying to make your subject stand out, make sure you add a few other items or props in your image if you can. Let's say if you're shooting close-ups, that's a very easy thing to do by just adjusting stuff on the table. Otherwise, if you're out and you're shooting some kind of flowers or things like that, they're pretty easy to distinguish since the trees are green behind them and the flowers are of separate colors. So that gives it that vibrancy and that pop which separates the background from the subject, therefore giving you more blur in general. Now this has nothing to do with whether you shoot it with a phone or with a camera. These are basic photography stuff. The more depth you are able to incorporate inside a particular composition, the more your subject will stand out and the better the picture will become. So tip number one to get more blurry pictures or DSLR like pictures from your phone is add depth between your subject and the background. With that said, that brings me to tip number two, that is adding proper lighting to the composition of your image. Now keep this in mind, the amount of light that hit your lens will determine the amount of blur or background blur that your image has. It's very simple. Now we generally tend to shoot at the widest aperture on our DSLR cameras, that is f1.8 or below. The reason we're doing that is we're allowing the maximum amount of light to hit the lens, thereby giving it so much more content so that it can separate the background from the foreground or the subject, which again brings me back to the depth point. So whenever you're shooting with the phone, keep in mind the sensors are not the same as the DSLRs. They are much smaller, therefore they will not be as good in low light as compared to your professional cameras. For this reason, having proper lighting, especially when you want your background to be blurry and differentiated from your subject, is extremely important. Now there are 2 or 3 days to do that, 2 or 3 ways to do that, and one of the main things is shoot next to a window. Whether you're trying to shoot a certain item on the table, just make sure that there is proper ample lighting. And number 2 is using manual ISO or manual controls or manual exposure. So the thing is, phones and their auto modes are usually not that good, especially when you want to try out new things and you know what you're doing after a while. So switch to that manual mode. If you don't know how to access that manual mode, or maybe your stock camera app does not have one, I've already made a video on the best professional camera apps for your Android device, card above. Definitely check it out. And with that being said, once you get the proper lighting, whether it's nighttime photography or broad daylight photography, I can assure you that that will really change things and take your pictures to the next level. I'm talking next level. Okay, so you're nailing the lighting scenarios, you've understood the basics of photography, and you're adding depth into your image. How do you make your image even better and get a blurry background just like the ones that you see shot with a DSLR? This point is going to sound a little bit contradictory, but if your phone has a portrait mode, maybe not use it that often. Now, hear me out before you click off this video and assume that I don't know anything. Here's the deal, right? The portrait mode on most modern day smartphones, especially the ones that are not high end like the Pixel 2 XL, most of them, in fact, I think all of them, correct me if I'm wrong, generate that blur digitally through software. You're not actually getting a depth of field with your lens like you usually would with a DSLR, which is why most of these softwares tend to fail in different scenarios. So portrait mode is particularly polished and made to click pictures of people. So if you're clicking a selfie or a picture of a human in portrait mode, chances are more or less it'll turn out pretty good. But things start to get a little bit hiccupy as soon as you try to click portrait mode pictures of subjects. The edge detection is not going to be there. It is gonna look horribly photoshopped, and in general it's just not a very photography thing to do. I mean, if your photos come great, mazel tov, proud of you guys. But if they don't, maybe turn off that portrait mode and try to use manual controls as I said, and check out that video, because why not? And here's the deal, right? Once you apply the basics of photography and once you know how every part of your phone's camera works, there is really no reason to use a portrait mode unless you're trying to get that extreme shallow depth of field. But then again, take a grain of salt, it may or may not work. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this short little video. For most of you guys that don't know, I'm in a new city right now, so it's kind of tough to make videos, but I'm still trying my best. Okay guys, so I've got something fun for you guys. So after using these tips, whatever pictures that you click with your phone, upload them on Instagram and tag me on it. My handle is _Anubhav_Roy_, and once that is done, I will definitely check out all of the pictures, and the ones that I really like, I'll give you guys a shout out on my main Instagram page. Yeah, maybe something for you guys, why not? With that being said, if you guys did like the video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, links in the description below. With that being said, this is Anubhav signing out. I will see you guys in my next one. Until then, have a great day. Peace out.